3840 by 2160 Ultra HD. 28-inch horizontal display running 4,000 pixels. Yeah, pizza. No, that was lunch yesterday. Not pixels, but pizza. You can't eat pixels unless you're Pac-Man. Anyway, gotta stay on topic and focus. 2160, better known as full ultra high definition. Is 4K gaming worth it? I bought this 28-inch 4K gaming monitor off a seller from the Facebook Marketplace for an absolute bargain, just to see if 4K gaming is a thing here in 2020 and what kind of GPU horsepower you may need to render all those pixels on your screen. Let's jump into it. But if you're new here to the channel and you want to learn more about PCs and other gaming related stuff, click the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss a thing. What's happening YouTube and the internet? Terrence here, and we are back inside the lab and taking a look at a 4K gaming monitor I bought off the Facebook Marketplace from a seller for $180 USD. I noticed he had it listed for around $200. I put an offer in to see if he would settle for about $180. He said sure. We set up the rest of the details, and now here we are. And that monitor is the Asus MG28UQ, which is a 28-inch 4K Ultra HD panel with a 1 millisecond response time, which in theory should eliminate smearing and motion blur, helping you to react instinctively to what you see on your screen. Its ergonomically designed stand lets you adjust your viewing angle with a plus 60 to minus 60 degree swivel, 150 millimeter height adjustment, and a full 90 degree pivot and tilt range of plus 20 degrees and plus minus 5 degrees respectively. This is a welcoming feature as it gives you options to find the best viewing angle during those long gaming sessions. So why 4K, right? What's so special about 3840 by 2160p? Well, for starters, Full HD gives you 4 times the pixel count of similar size 1080p displays. So that means with a pixel density of 157 pixels per inch, you get photorealistic images, sharper text, and more detail while playing your games or watching your movies. So to test the MG28UQ for all its claims, we're going to be using, the best possible graphics card to pair at this resolution. But wait, not actually. That is because NVIDIA decided to launch their announce their RTX 3000 series. So now the whole GPU market is possibly in limbo right now, because you have RTX 2080 Ti like performance for the $500 RTX 3070. The 3080 now has 10 gigabytes of VRAM for $700, and now the 3090 has 24 gigabytes of VRAM for God knows who, and with 24 gigabytes of VRAM, a $1,500 graphics card. Do you wait for the 3050 and the 3060 GPUs, which are likely going to be for 1080p gaming? And does this mean there's not going to be a 30 series Ti in Titan? We're going to talk about this in the upcoming live stream, so be on the lookout for that. But I guess I digress too, because for this video and today's video, we're going to be using the EVGA for the Win 3 RTX 2080 Ti. So let's run the benchmarks and see what this 4K gaming monitor has to offer.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado, niños!
off the north exit.
And now me personally, I do appreciate the detail in video games, and I normally crank up the graphic settings to their highest point in most of the games I play. And so with 4K, the extra pixels did bring out a little bit more detail in some of the graphically demanding games we tested here, with most of them like Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which averaged more than 60 plus FPS at max settings with really decent minimum 1% lows, given that this was at max settings with anisotropic filtering set to ×8. And then Far Cry 5 New Dawn, which too at max settings saw averages of over 70 FPS and minimum 1% lows near our monitor's 60Hz refresh rate, with surprisingly Shadow the Tomb Raider also bringing in averages of over 60 plus FPS at max settings and really decent minimum and 1% lows, which too hovered around our monitor's 60Hz refresh rate. And then there's games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where the numbers, while playable, they just weren't that smooth in my honest opinion, where at max settings we saw averages across the board around the high 40s, but then dropping the settings down to the high preset gave a much better experience with the average FPS at a little over 60 and much better minimum and 1% lows. And since this monitor's refresh rate is only 60 Hz, this could be said for games like Need for Speed Heat, where I saw playable averages in the mid 60s at max settings, but drop it down to the high preset would have given me a much better or much balanced gameplay experience. And so even with an RTX 2080 Ti, right, and this depends on the game too, so you could lower your graphic settings down to say medium or high settings and you would get a much playable experience. What I recommend is that you play around with your graphic settings to find that balance of between playable frame rates and what we like to call around here eye candy. It is important to note that at this resolution 3840 by 2160p, you are mostly GPU bound, whereas your CPU or your GPU is going to be working twice as hard as your CPU thanks to all of those extra pixels being rendered on your screen. This is essentially a GPU bottleneck, and in this case, that's okay. You want that. But for our test, I was using a Ryzen 5 1600X at 3.7 gigahertz. So with a slightly better CPU, say with better IPC, you could expect a little bump in performance, but not that much, as again, your GPU is the deciding factor at how many frames your system is going to be able to output. But as for the Asus MG28UQ, I think it's a fine monitor for entry-level 4K gaming and content creation. Picking this one up for $180 was an absolute bargain, considering at the time of producing this video, it's hard to find one brand new online, and they are selling for a little over $200 on the used market. So is 4K dumb? Is it a gimmick? Me personally, I don't think so. Sure, some games look great at 4K, but then there are some that just plays better at 1080p. You could drop your resolution, say from 2160p to 1440p and so on, and this will give you a wide range of pixel counts to choose from. On top of that, you would then have the freedom and flexibility to decide on how you want to experience the different type of games you play. And for more awesome PC tech and gaming related content, watch the top video first and the bottom one next. Join our community by tapping the round subscribe icon down there at the bottom. And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and go. Thanks for giving this one a watch. I hope to catch you on the next one. So until then, be easy.